A quiet afternoon. Your cat slips out the door. You look up a few minutes later, and it's gone. You check the backyard, nothing. You walk down the street calling its name, still nothing. An hour passes, then maybe a whole day. And just when you start thinking it might actually be lost, you hear scratching at the door. Your cat is back. No map, no directions, no phone with GPS, just home. Which raises a strange question. How does your cat know the way home, sometimes better than you do? And before we uncover that answer, take a second to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It really helps the channel grow and lets us keep explaining the simple things most people never stop to question. Because the truth behind this ability is far more fascinating than it seems. Most people assume cats simply remember the path they took, that they just retrace their steps back home. But here's the surprising truth. Cats aren't just remembering a route, they're navigating using a combination of senses that humans barely rely on anymore. And it starts with something we often underestimate: smell. Cats experience the world very differently from us. When you walk down a street, you mostly see buildings, cars, and sidewalks. But a cat walks through an invisible landscape made of scents. Their sense of smell is about 14 times stronger than a human's. Every corner, every tree, every garden carries layers of information. To a cat, your neighborhood isn't just a place, it's a massive scent map. The neighbor's house smells different from the bakery down the street. The park carries traces of soil, plants, and other animals. Even the wind moves familiar smells across the area. Over time, your cat slowly builds a detailed mental map of all of it. So while you rely mostly on street names or visual landmarks, your cat is following a trail of invisible signals floating in the air. But smell alone doesn't explain everything, because sometimes cats travel surprisingly far from home and still manage to return. This is where things get even more interesting. Researchers have long suspected that cats may have something like an internal compass, not a literal compass with a needle pointing north, but a biological ability to sense the Earth's magnetic field. Many animals can do this. Birds use it to migrate thousands of kilometers. Sea turtles cross entire oceans using magnetic cues. And some evidence suggests cats might also use subtle magnetic signals to orient themselves. It wouldn't feel like a direction arrow in their mind. Instead, it may be more like a quiet sense that a certain direction feels right. This might explain something scientists noticed in older experiments. When cats were moved far away from their homes and released, many of them didn't wander randomly. They often started moving in a direction surprisingly close to home, even when they had never taken that path before. This is where most people get confused. Cats aren't navigating like humans. They aren't mentally thinking about streets, intersections, or shortcuts. Their navigation is layered. Smell, memory, sound, familiar landmarks, and possibly even the Earth's magnetic field, all working together at the same time. But there's another factor that makes cats especially good at finding their way back: territory. Cats are extremely territorial animals. When they explore outside, they aren't just wandering aimlessly. They are constantly studying their surroundings. They memorize hiding spots, escape routes, quiet pathways between yards, safe places to rest. Little by little, they create a detailed internal network of their environment. Think of it like a web of familiar zones spreading outwards from home. The more they explore, the larger this web becomes. So if your cat moves into a new area, it often tries to reconnect with that network by moving toward familiar smells, sounds, or landmarks. Eventually, those signals start pointing back toward the center of the web, which is usually your house. But here's something important. Even though cats have impressive navigation abilities, they're not perfect. Young cats that haven't explored much may struggle more. Indoor cats that suddenly get lost outside may panic because they haven't built those scent maps yet, and large, unfamiliar environments can still confuse them. So while their instincts are powerful, they still depend heavily on experience, which means every time your cat quietly walks around the neighborhood, it's actually learning, mapping, memorizing, building the information it might one day use to find its way home. And that's why sometimes your cat seems to know exactly where it's going, even when you'd probably get lost in the same situation, because what looks like random wandering is actually a complex navigation system running quietly in the background, a system built from senses far sharper than our own. And the next time your cat disappears for a while and casually returns like nothing happened, it might not be luck at all. It might just be one of nature's simplest and most impressive navigation systems at work, because sometimes the simplest things hide the most misunderstood truths.